Queuing shit up makes everything so much easier. Boom. All sent out, raring to go. So, I love me some good old-fashioned Duelist. And Duelist 2 is currently being worked on by a fan development team with permission from Counterplay Games. They've been given the OG Duelist source code. But they're doing some things different. The main things are that there's going to be draw 2 at end of turn instead of draw 1. Which I initially thought I wouldn't enjoy, but I think it's fine. And then the second one is no Bloodborne spells. Bloodborne spells are like hero powers from Hearthstone. They are just things that you can use whenever you have the energy to, and whenever essentially you can. So I'm going to go through because they aren't bringing those back, and I felt, and many of you who were watching me the other day, as well as some of the people on the Discord, feel that without them, there's just no reason. Like there's no difference in the generals. It's just a different skin, and it's not as fun. I've never designed anything really. Long ago, I just designed some cards for Magic for fun with my my good friend Internet James, and that went nowhere. But I wanna see if I can do something kind of interesting here. So we're just gonna go through essentially all of the 18 generals, and we're gonna try to design some things. And so I have some goals. I should actually put here. Design goals. Design goals. All right. I want them to be beneficial to an archetype, but not so that if you want to play that archetype, you have to play that general. I actually need to find... Was that in general or was that in Game Talk? 1219? Fudge. God damn. A lot of people talking... When the f did I post this? Holy sh... It wasn't this early, was it? When the f was I awake? I'm stupid because I could legitimately just search for myself. God damn it! Search from user me. The fuck do you mean no results? Oh, okay. Here it is. It's in Game Talk. Alright. So I want them to be... I want them to be designed for the class as a whole. Let's see. Class... Holistic. Archetype... Aiding. I want them to have, if possible, multiple synergies. And what I mean by this is that I want a power to be able to be used not just with like one class of cards. So I think the easiest thing for me to show... Jesus Christ. Why did it go all the way to the freaking end? Whatever. You. So one of the things that I think is really good is we see here Zoran has a Bloodborne spell, restore 3 health to any minion. Right? Obviously, Zoran wants to be played in a deck that cares a lot about health. AK6 General, Bloodborne spell, stream at random times and days. You're goddamn right. Alright? I am the force of chaos. Yeah, so Zoran, right? If you're playing Zoran, generally speaking, you're going to want to play healing synergies, right? Obviously, you don't have to, right? You can play minions that have provoke, so that you can just keep your taunty dudes alive. You can play minions that care about I don't know, surviving, I guess, and attacking a lot? Not entirely sure, obviously. But a lot of the complaints that I see from people who don't like Bloodborne spells is that they pigeonhole you, right? Like, if you're playing Zeren, it means you're probably playing a bunch of these cards that specifically say heal. Let's see. I'm trying to find some ones that are like, I love healing. Show me healing. Things like Light Chaser, right? Whenever any minion or general is healed, this minion gets bigger, right? So what I want to do is I want to be able to take, Zoran's ability and change it such that it still works nicely with Light Chaser, but it can also work with, I'm just gonna fucking, who are you? Put one Crestfallen into your action bar, shuffle copy this. What the fuck is Crestfallen? Zeal Provoke. Yeah, for example, Zeal minions, right? What the fuck is Intensify? Each time you cast them for the duration of the game, the second effect only occurs for it. Okay. But yeah, essentially, like, the idea is I want them to be able to work in more scenarios than just I'm forced to play this general if I want healing, and the vice versa. I'm forced to play healing if I want to play this general. That's what I mean by multiple synergies. This is going to be the most difficult, I think. I need them to be set agnostic. So what I mean by that is that I need the statics to be such that the new team, I guess it's Dreamsloth is who's making this, can design new keywords, new abilities, new archetypes, while still kind of being able to work with these cards and not needing to be designed directly for it. Right, with Zoran, for example, if you have Zoran, you're going to want to print a ton more healing synergies because you already have a general that cares about healing, right? I do think that's going to be the hardest for me to do. Use duelists uniqueness. This is another one that I really want. Like, this is, if I had to like rank the ones that I care about most, use duelist uniqueness is the top. So this is talking about the fact that you do have a general that is a unit on the field that can move around too. It's not just like this nebulous health pool, right? It's something that can move around, it exists, blah, blah, blah. Speaking of moving around, I also want it to care about things like positioning. Like, just having more cards that care about positioning makes the game a lot more strategic, and in my opinion, makes it more fun. So that's one that I think is like the most important for me. Yeah. Class holistic, archetype aiding. So yeah, they aid archetypes, but they're not like only using that archetype, if that makes sense. Duelist uniqueness, okay. Okay. So let's go ahead and bold this. Lionar. Let's start with agent. Copy image. Insert image. Never mind. Edit. Paste. My God. Let's see. Image options. Inline with text. Wrap text. Break text. Inline should be fine. I just need to make it freaking smaller. Smaller. There we go. Okay. Argan. We got Argan here. With Bloodborne spell, give a minion nearby your general +2 attack. I don't remember exactly, but I do think that this is like long-standing, right? I think this like lasts. But one of the things that Lionar has, right, is Zeal, where your units want to be by your general. So strength, your minions have lots of health and very efficient combat stats overall for their costs. You have access to the widest variety of healing options, lots of area of effect damage, so you can blow apart the battlefield. You can use many different types of dispels to disrupt bonus effects on other minions, extremely threatening when you are in melee range of your opponent. Right. So the things you like is that your minions are hard to murder. They're hard to murder. You can blow things up that are even far from you. You can just disrupt things. And then, of course, you can swarm your opponent's face. Like, when you're in your opponent's face, it's fucked. Weaknesses. Difficult for you and your army to catch fleeing enemies. Okay. You have limited attack options at range. Okay. Difficult for you to break enemy artifacts. Your spells often need allied minions to be alive for at least one turn before they can be effective. You have a lot of ally buffs. Cool. Difficult for you to come back from a losing position when your opponent takes control of the battlefield. Very true. All right. So we want to play towards these strengths. Right, we don't want to undermine the weaknesses, but we do want to potentially address the weaknesses. Right, so let's see. So here, I think with Argan, right, he cares about something nearby and giving it a bonus stack. You already have Zeal that likes to be nearby, right? You also just generally like when your minions are going to be able to dome your opponent. So let's and this is obviously like this is off the cuff. I'm just thinking of things. So one potential thing I see as a static ability is nearby minions have +1 attack. Right. That's something that is flavorful. It makes sense with this. You don't have to have it just with like Argan. It's not just good in... It's obviously best in aggressive strategies, but it's not just good there, right? The fact that you have really high health provoke minions means that you're going to be able to also have them be able to trade up. So, for example, a 5 mana unit... Can I just make this by cost? 5 mana unit. That's like super like when I think of Lionar cards, I think of things like Ironclip Guardian, right? This is airdrop. You can put this wherever you want on the field, which can help a lot against one of the weaknesses, but that's neither here nor there. It's a 5 mana 3/10, right? It's going to survive a lot, but it's not going to kill a lot of things, right? It's not going to do a ton of damage. So what's nice here is that, yes, you can throw it somewhere else to make it so, you know, a big minion somewhere else, like, can't move, can't get to your general, can't get to one of your more important minions. Or, if you put it by you, right, then it can be a little bit stronger, strong enough that clearing it is going to be more painful if your opponent general uses face, and it's better at trading up, like being more damage than it's taking, if that makes sense. So, I think that's a reasonable one. I do need to just double check the others. Summon a Crestfallen with Zeal Provoke in front of your general. Aren't Crestfallens that anyway? Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's just what Crestfallens are. So he just summons a token. Interesting. Okay, okay. Brome. I already know what Zoran is. Okay. Because I want them to be unique, right? I want them to be different from each other. Argan, will it give a minion? Yeah, so that's only one. This does give all nearby minions one attack. Let's see. So I think Argan, I think I want him to be a nearby thing. So another potential one is nearby enemies. Hello, Hex on the Beach. Thanks for the follow. Nearby enemy. Actually, this probably needs to say enemy minions. Obviously, I'm just in the design here, not the development, so I can modify the strength of these things later. Nearby enemy minions can only move one space. So, obviously, I don't know like how exactly you'd code this, Hi, are you a Duelist dev? I'm not. I did put unofficial, right? Edit stream info. Fan. There we go. I've made a modification. No, I'm not a Duelist dev, but I'm just a huge fan that wants to try my hand at developing stuff that was not asked for. I see no unofficial in title. Guess you are now part of the team. I don't think they'd like that. Okay. Oh, shoot. There we go. Need my color source back. So yeah, I don't know exactly how this would like work or how it would be worded, but the idea essentially is when Argeon is by enemies, they can't run away, right? I said that I want to address some of the weaknesses, but not necessarily like make them dumb. Obviously, I think affecting the enemy general I think would be too much, but only affecting minions. Being able to only move one space means that they can't run far away as fast. I would say that, you know, this doesn't include flying. Doesn't include flying, because that kind of doesn't make sense, in my opinion. Enemies can only move one space. Stop it. Only one space. I need to pull this up too. Stop it! The stupid Wikipedia page. Duelist board. That is I need something bigger than that, please. Rules. Size. Large. I just want like an empty Duelist board that's big. Okay, thank you. Okay, cool. Don't know too much of the game, but can you alter the field so units in some spaces have half move speed? You can. So technically, the issue with that is that usually those are like permanent modifications unless like dispelled or stuff. Yeah, so the spikes, you are adding them, but again, I need these to be statics because one of the main complaints about the Bloodborne spells is that like it makes the game kind of it makes games samey because you'll consistently just be using your Bloodborne spell as frequently as you can. If I remember correctly, they all had like 2-turn cooldowns and stuff, but I think just forcing it to be statics would potentially help with the sameness of games, right? I'm going to try to design 3 for each, which means I'm designing... the frick is that? That's 24? That's 54? Jesus Christ. Alright, 3 times. Yeah, because 7, 20, yeah. Yep, that's fucking 54. Maybe I'll just do 2 for each. But yeah, I'm going to try to have at least one that cares about positioning. And then... I mean, obviously for Argeon it's 2 that cares about positioning, but that's because Lionar cares about positioning, and so did Argeon before the change. But yeah, so for making the tiles be like that, it would... I feel like it would have to be worded like super complexly. Like it would have to be like nearby tiles have nearby enemy minions can only move one space. Again, you know, I'm not trying to make the wording perfect here. I'm also realizing that my face is in the wrong spot for this. Where is my camera? Let's move you over up here. Yeah, let's move you up there. Okay. Units that start your turn in the X tile have half move speed. Again, the issue is that, like... Just start your turn. That doesn't deal with rush, right? So rush minions essentially are haste, right? I also want it to affect rush minions. So, like, that's the thing. Like, it is relatively difficult. Like, fuck it, it's not easy to design this stuff. Like, that's another thing that was brought up, is, like, balancing 18 Bloodborne spells is not easy. So I want the statics to be small enough that they aren't... It's not easy to, like, have them be broken or garbo, but I want them to be good enough, I want them to matter enough that they give you an actual, like, reason to choose generals over the others. So yeah, so, like, let's say that this little mana tile is your general, right? So essentially, I'd want these spaces to be, like, nearby enemy minions can only move one space. So if it's here, right, it can go here or here, but it can't go there. All right. Someone in 1/1 with Provoke can deal with stuff like that. Not sure if that's OP. Again, like, what do you mean someone in 1/1 with Provoke? Because these are static abilities, right? If it's, like, the beginning of your turn, summon a 1/1 with Provoke, I don't know how much I want to see that, essentially. I mean, we'll have to go away. We'll have to describe that when we get to Brome. Why did Brome come before Zoran? Zoran came out before Brome. Hey, fuck you, Brome. All about Zoran. Okay, yeah. So I think for Argon right now, that's fine. Oh, I need to see your dimensions. Image options. 3.5 to 4.3. Okay. Next up is Zoran. Image options. 3.52. Shoot, I don't remember what this one was. 4.3. Wow. 4.3. There we go. Okay. Now we have Zoran. By static, you mean passives? Yes. They're passive abilities. They just exist. So, as I said, I'm going to try to have each of them use a thing here. So, with hers, the immediate one is just heal nearby. So Zoran could heal any minion, including your enemy's minions. I'm trying to think, because I think it would be interesting if she still, like, she forcibly healed all minions nearby. Because then, like, that makes the placement even more important. Because now you're going to want Zoran not to be close, right? So I think Zoran, like, in this situation, right, she works not only with heal minions, but also with, like, a couple of control minions and a bunch of, like, board wipes, right? Heal 1, 2 nearby minions at the... I think end of turn is better. End of your turn. Go to nearby minions at the end of your turn. So this way you can get multiple procs from Zoran for your healing abilities. But your opponent can heal. Like, you can like, end of turn sounds stronger. I know it's stronger. Again, these are just the initial ones. Like, it's possible that nearby minions having +1 attack is too strong. Right? It's possible that this is too strong. But the reason I'm doing... I'm doing, like, the kind of, like, the best versions of what I'm thinking. Heal 1 to nearby enemy... Heal 1 to nearby minions at the end of your turn. The issue... So I'm seeing an issue already, is, like, if you're playing a healing deck, you still don't care about Argian. Do I care that... This is the thing, right? Like, do I care that you don't care about Argian? I don't. Like, if you're gonna play a heal deck, just play Zoran. Like, right now, they're fundamentally not different. So in Duelist 2, they don't have the Bloodborne spells. So they're fundamentally the same. The only difference is the skin, right? I guess another thing that I thought of is you equip statics, you equip passives as part of your commander or your general selection. So let's say none of them have, they're blank, they don't have Bloodborne spells, they don't have passives. But you select a general, and the next thing that you have to do is select your passive, and there's just a bunch of passives from the class. That's another option. I don't like that one as much, but whatever. But yeah, I think if you want to play a heal deck, play Zoran. That's not an issue. What resource do you use for your Bloodborne? Just mana? Yeah. It's mana, but there's also a timer on it. Yeah, Bloodborne spells are activated abilities that use mana and are on timers. If you play a heal deck, right, but I want to make it so that you don't, if you're playing Zoran, it doesn't have to be a heal deck. Heal 1 to nearby minions at the end of your turn. Yeah, I mean, with this ability, though, like, if you're going to play Zoran, you're going to put a lot of heal synergy cards in the deck. And that does kind of go... Like, it aids the archetype, but it has not a ton of multiple synergies. Right? I did say, like, it helps with healing your minions after you board wipe and stuff like that, but maybe it could be interesting if you can use them if you did not reroll a card, just throwing ideas. Maybe a passive that is active if you did not change a card. That is interesting. Potential aspects. Passives are selected after general selection. Passives require not replacing a card. And I actually think, like, this aspect works really nicely with using Duelist's uniqueness, right? Obviously, they would have to be worded differently, so, like, if this were the case, it's, I guess the issue is, like, you can attack and then... Because you can do it whenever you want. Like, you can change cards whenever you want. So I think this one would have to change to next turn. Yeah, so I think these would both essentially have to be, like, next turn. Yeah, let's say all passives activate EOT. Passive would need to be EOT. But the thing, though, right, is that this would dramatically change this, right? Going from nearby minions have +1 attack to nearby minions... I guess it could be gain 1 attack, but even then, like, that seems like it scales way too fast. I mean, so this would just have to be nearby minions have 1 attack until the end of your next turn. Nearby enemy minions can only move 1 space until the end of your next turn. And then they get reapplied. Yeah, so that's fine. Like, it could just be reapplied. It does make it more interesting as well, because then it makes Argeon, Argeon's passive less aggressive. Right? So this passive is like, I mean, both of these passives are like, I am aggro. I am playing a deck where I'm going to hunt you down and murder you, right? Whereas if it is end of turn stuff, now it's an option of like, do I want to get this buff? It's going to start on their turn, which is kind of defensive, so it just makes it harder for your opponent to murder your minions, because it's more likely to kill their minions and or do a lot of damage to them, or they have to just like deal with that on the board, right? And then like on your following turn, ooh, they big buff. I only needed them to be big buff this turn. It also is like kind of burst thing. It's possible that like if it's with this, then it doesn't need to be nearby minions. Maybe it could be like, maybe there could be another word introduced that's nearby, but like 1 cardinal direction more. So like if I'm this, right, this is nearby, but then like the cardinal directions also like count for it. The diagonals, these like all of this stuff is too far, if I recall correctly. So move here, move here. Yeah, you can't move there. Yeah. So another one that I thought of for Zoran, which would not work with the passive thing, is minions deployed nearby. Gain +1. Now this one, I kind of like better, because it forces you, if you want to play a heal deck, to utilize actual heal cards, because you can't rely on your general, but it makes your minions able to live long enough to be healed, right? Which is one of the, which again is kind of addressing, I don't know, it's I'm dumb. It's kind of addressing one of the potential weaknesses. I think decisions are good things, especially if they are simple decisions with a deep effect. I completely agree. I completely agree. Yeah, so for both of these, I lean towards liking. This one I think is a little too strong, honestly. I lean near liking this one, and I think I prefer the secondary here, because again, like if you're playing Zoran, you don't have to play a heal deck with +1. Like, you can play an aggro deck, right? It just means your units are going to be stickier. You're not going to be able to do as much damage as in an Argeon aggro deck, but you can still play an aggro deck because over time your minions are going to survive longer. So maybe this type of aggro would be Swarm, and this type of aggro could be like buffs, right? Because your units are going to be able to live longer, you can buff them better, etc., etc., right? So I kind of like that. No one to nearby minions at the end of your turn. Yeah. Bush, what's about, sir? It's time for Brome! Me and the boys hate Brome. Oh, hey! I figured out to keep my aspect ratio. Hell yeah. First day of vacay? Nice. So he initially summoned a 1/2 Crestfallen with Zeal Provoke, and you summoned it in front of you. So the first ability for all of these you can see are homages to the original. And then the second design is more just like me trying to play up the other thing. So the Brome, the first one could just be summon a... For right now, I'm just going to say... summon a Bro. EOT. Right? So obviously, summon a Bro EOT. We don't know what that is right now. We can talk through that. If we don't use the thing here, right? Passives require not replacing a card. Right? Then it's just every end of turn, you just summon a Bro. This does have to be nearby. And for what it's worth, it could summon a Bro in a specific manner that you would get. Can be give Zeal or Provoke to a nearby minion? Well, Zeal is an ability word that means if it's nearby your general, it does something. If it's Zeal Provoke, actually I do kind of like that actually. So just like end of turn grants a random nearby minion. Zeal Provoke. That way Brome like has to stay with his people, right? So actually I need to put maybe further than nearby. Maybe I could make this the opposite. Maybe all but nearby. Summon a Bro nearby EOT. Summon a Bodyguard with Zeal Provoke or make a minion a Bodyguard. So my main thing is that like getting a 1/2 with Provoke every single turn, I think is a bit strong. So it could be maybe a 0/3 Provoke. Not even with Zeal, just maybe a 0/3 Provoke. The reason 0/3 is because it can just be murdered with the opposite general, but it's still annoying enough. Like it can't hurt opposing generals and minions, right? I think is the main thing that I care about. If you're making a token just every single turn, that has Provoke. Summon a Bro nearby. Could try to make predictable. So one of the things that that I would want here is nearby. If you're summoning something nearby, you don't have any control over where that is, right? Brome here had it put it in front of the general, right? So one of the things that I would potentially want, and I don't know how like you would word this, if you would word it in the ability or if it's like a tooltip. I do think tooltip would work better. The Bro could be summoned like in front of first. If that's occupied, then it goes the cardinal directions clockwise, maybe. So then it goes down, then behind, then above. And if all 4 of those are taken up already, then it's the very next one. That's the diagonal up. Diagonal forward, I should say. All of these are predicated on the generals facing. But diagonal up forward, diagonal down forward, diagonal down, back. Diagonal, up, back. You think about balance with numbers later, but spawning every turn can be strong with the card that gives +1/+1 to all your minions. Strong Swarm. Well, I mean, the thing is, like, I want to be able, right? Because right now I said, like, if we're looking at just the primary abilities, I guess not even the primary, if we're looking at their abilities, right? One of the things I said is I want them to all be able to work with archetypes, right? He doesn't work great with healing, but that's okay. But this first ability can be an aggro deck. The second ability can be an aggro deck, right? It's just a stickier aggro deck that wants you to maybe do different things, right? This is a different style of potential aggro deck, where with this, you can rely more on lords or like token buffs, whereas this, you just, like with him, you just want to play a ton of like minions generally. So I kind of like that potential there. Another thing is potentially you can play Braum for a heal deck. Like if Zoran doesn't have heal 1 to nearby minions at the end of your turn, right, she's going to need to use heal cards to make a heal deck work. I think YouTube stopped playing my music. That's just rude. But with Braum, like if this is Zoran's ability and this is Braum's ability, he doesn't get the ability to have a heal nearby thing, but he has a unit that theoretically can be healed because it can theoretically survive. The issue is like end of turn means that it has to survive and it only has 3 toughness. So I think it's I like this as the primary homage one. Right now we can get into something stranger. So 1, 2 Crestfallen with Zeal, Provoke in front of the General. What if we had a passive on Braum? Like that cared about Braum. So like theoretically, right? Braum is on Braum is unaffected by Provoke. Now it could be he can move and or attack whatever, right? So maybe it's both, right? Maybe it's he can move even if he's provoked. He can attack whatever he wants if he's provoked. Maybe it's one or the other. Maybe it's both, right? Because that's another thing. Is like they are units in and of themselves. So theoretically, you could just give them a passive. You can also try the opposite. That just double down on the ability. Let's say heal deck, your general does damage and gives power, so your heals always have something to heal, for example. I'm not sure I know what that means. You can also try the opposite. Just doubles down on the ability. Let's say heal deck, your general does damage and gives... Oh, gives... Wait. And gives a attack? Or gives health. For the heal deck, your general damage your units, but gives extra damage. Okay. So it would be like your deployed minions take I think this would have to be nearby as well. Just being able to deploy something, like at range, that takes a point of damage, even just for a point, or takes 1 damage to even just gain 1 power. I think would be too much. So again, I think this might need to be nearby. Which again, I'm fine with. You're deployed, Your deployed nearby minions take 1 damage and gain 1 attack. I do like that, actually. Because again, like, this also is a thing that you can use in aggro decks. Your deployed nearby minions take 1 damage and gain 1 attack. This obviously wouldn't really work with the passive requirements, but maybe that can be a balancing knob, right? It's not that all passives have that. It's that if a passive is too strong at base, you can make that part of it to try and balance it, right? That's just another knob. Could just be another balancing knob. No, I like that suggestion. Lloyd, nearby minions take, yeah. Unaffected by provoke. Maybe unaffected by ranged or can't be targeted by rush attacks. No, they're correct, maybe. So yeah, Brome being immune to something, I do think is kind of interesting. Because Lion-Heart does have, like, every faction has artifacts, like the equipment, the general equipment. And I do want to potentially have generals for that. Minions deployed nearby gain 1 health. This would help with Provoke, so that if you want to play an artifact deck, Zoran, your minions can protect you better. This one is actually, like, not great. Huh. Enemy minions cannot enter the space in front of your general. That's also kind of interesting. So what I mean by cannot enter is they can't be placed there. Can't be deployed. Move into or spawn. Does that make sense? So in a situation like this, right? Now there's an area in front of your general that can always be empty. Obviously, this is just minions. But this also means that, like, so for example, we're going against it's Argeon against Brome, right? So we got Brome right here, Argeon right here, right? So this is the front space, right? If Brome has someone nearby this guy that's also predictable, this space can't be used as a spawn, so it forces the spawn. I think I said up first. Whichever, I don't care. It forces the spawn to one of these locations, right? One thing to consider when balancing would be if the ability is polarizing, let's say is immune to range or rush. If the enemy doesn't use it, then it's useless, but it relies on it as OP. That is very good point. Is a polarizing mechanic. What the frick? Okay then. So a slightly better version of that, that's more keyword agnostic, could just be Braum takes 1 less damage during his turn. During ops turn to OP. So in this situation, right, Braum obviously can just consume units that only have 1 power. What was the thing I was saying? Consume units that only have 1 power. He can be more aggressive. So either you can like have your units survive better because you can clear board with face a little bit more. Let's see. Yeah. Taking less damage can even help with preserving artifacts, for what I've seen of the game. So artifacts, you lose a thing. So there's another one, right? So you deploy minions, take 1 damage. So the thing is, I don't want to directly have something that directly calls out artifacts, but I think I at least not in Lionar, I definitely will in Vitruvian, because Vitruvian like cares a lot about artifacts. But so this thing theoretically helps against like if you're using artifacts, right? Because it just means that stuff can't go directly in front of you, and if you keep units at your top and bottom front, then you have some space where your opponent just like can't get to you. They can with their own face, but they couldn't with their units, with their minions, unless they destroy your minions first, right? So the last one theoretically, excuse me, could be for artifacts. It could also be for control, for very obvious reasons, but it also could be aggro, right? If your opponent can't put stuff directly into your face, it means they're going to have a slightly harder time attacking you. Bada bing, bada boom. Yeah, the backstab I don't think is as good, but there's like another one that I think I would like better as being general agnostic, so like as a choice. But artifact equipped to Braum require at least 2 damage to lose a durability. Numbers subject to change. Now, why am I putting this on Braum? Like, why am I putting Braum is unaffected by thing? Braum takes 1 less damage to do thing. Artifacts equipped to Braum do thing. For some reason, when I think of Braum, I feel like Braum is like the dude who does like things actively. Like Zoran's feels like a support unit. Arcane feels like an attack unit, right? And Braum just feels like a tank. Like Braum feels like he's going to be in the fray. I don't know why. That's just the feeling that I get. Artifacts equipped to Braum require at least 2 damage to lose durability. Having it just so your artifacts don't lose durability during your turn, I think is would be way too OP. Unless like the passive thing was being used. By the way, anyone in the chat who is just arriving, I am not a duelist dev, but I am designing some passives for the duelist generals because I find it fun. Alright, I think for right now, We got 3, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. I figure now that's fine. So we're gonna move on to Songhai. Songhai, you can be very mobile, and it's good to give them a distinct activity, but cool if they all can make use of their shared pool of cards. Yeah. Mobile and aggressive, you have lots of combos and synergy between your spells and units. You can use your superior mobility to outmaneuver your opponent's minions, preferring to avoid threats rather than facing them head-on. So I was like, oh, I am remembering another one. I don't know who I would give this to. I think I'd give it to Zoran. But something like, your minions take 1 less damage from your spells. That's potentially another one where like you're playing a control deck that uses a lot of ward wipes that deal damage to everything. That's just something that I thought of. Okay. Strengths. You have various options to deal damage with both direct spell damage and damage focused buff. High combo synergy allows you to deal heavy burst damage in one turn. You can easily break your opponent's artifacts by using things that do a lot of things. Can fight up close or at range using your minions and spells. You have the most diverse positioning options using teleportation to your advantage. Your minions are very frail. You have low defensive options outside of retreating. It's difficult for you to remove big threats. You can draw bad hands without spells, creatures, specific combo cases. If you're playing aggressively, you can run out of cards quickly. Slower Songhai decks can have higher chance of drawing poorly in the late game. We start with Kalio Zan. What? Bro, why do you look like that? Whatever, it's fine. I don't know why Zan looks like this. No, you didn't keep the thing. 4.52. 3.2. Oh, I'm dumb. 3.29. 3.29. 4.0. Okay. Teleport a friendly minion up to 2 spaces. Nearby minions can move 1 additional space. Could add, ignore, provoke. Actually, I think I would have that as a subsection. Could add, caveat, must not be towards up. Could have, ignore, provoke, but only move 1 space. Something like minions can pass through enemies. That's also interesting. So yeah, so my rationale behind this is having a static, a passive for teleport seems very difficult. Obviously, like this can do dumb things. And it's like this is just objectively stronger than this. But again, this is on a timer. And you have to spend mana for it. This you just get. So I think having them nearby is fine. I had the caveat of not towards OP as kind of a parenthetical here, because like maybe that's necessary for you can comment. Hello. So for those just joining us, I am designing passive abilities for a game that I love that was died and is coming back. This is not official. People will probably hate all of these, but you know, it's what I'm doing. I'm having fun. I do like the idea of minions being able to pass through enemies. Friendly minions can move through enemy minions. Now this would need a tooltip, because the way the movement works, I'm actually gonna do. Am I able to do that? I gotta check. So I don't know if that'll work. Nah, I'm just gonna do this. It's fine. So let's say we have a unit here, right? We're actually gonna use the mana tile because it's easier to see. So we have a unit here, right? This is an enemy unit. This is our unit, right? This can go through here, right? That's two pieces of movement, right? Theoretically, they're just ignoring the fact that the minion's here. They can get a backstab, right? If the minion's here, moving here is 3 steps. Because if our minion's here, this is how far it can move diagonally. Right? It can't go... let's see. So if it's here... Yeah, so like that's the diagonal. It can't go... Jeez. Oh god, yeah. So if our minion's here, that would be the same as going here. Which is farther than they can move. So they could only theoretically move through them if they were here, here, here. Or like here, obviously, but who'd want to do that? One of the big design problems with that... Actually, never mind. I guess you could just move through. Because if you highlight on a thing, it attempts to attack. But yeah, you could just move through. When you click on your minions, it has to show the movement tiles the same as if the enemies were your own minions, maybe. Yeah. I mean, the thing is, like, I think that can work. I think it's fine. It's just some, like, newer players might be confused by that. Because they're like, if they're here and they're like, I want to get a backstab, they're like, why can't I go here? But yeah, if it just shows your movement options, which it does already, yeah, it should be fine actually. And then one I have for Kaelios himself is movements are teleports. The issue here is it's very teleports. Nope. I'm so bad. One of the issues here is that it only really matters for provoke. Right? So maybe can move one more space. But then his mobility might be fucking stupid. Right? Increase the spawn radius of your general by 1. Could be interesting. Let me just double check these two. I think for Reva I would do that. Maybe. I don't know. Increase the spawn radius of your general by 1 tile. Damn, that would be nuts. I do like it. I do like the idea, though. Actually, you've just given me another idea. So, because Linar, like Zeal, having it be nearby includes one more tile would, I think, be pretty interesting, right? Because then a unit here can get Zeal. This one wouldn't. This one wouldn't. So it's just in the cardinal directions. A unit could get more Zeal. Turn 1, you could get a mana if you start first. So yeah, if you're here, you can move here. Wait, you're here, you can move here. No, you can't, actually. Because you gotta remember, diagonal counts as more than... Right? Okay, I need to freaking pull this up. Well, I do need to double check. Please. Jesus Christ. Huh. Oh, that might be why. Okay. Alright, cool. Okay, yeah. Yeah, so diagonal... So, like, if I went here... Jesus fucking Christ. It's fine, everything's fine. Yeah, so it wouldn't be... I couldn't, grab that. I did all of that just for that. Movements or teleport. Yeah, him just being able to be considered teleport. Or maybe it's just all movements. Because I was considering Kalios' movements. Kalios. His movements. Maybe we can move more, one more space. Maybe all your minion. Okay, I think Kalios is fine. Reva. Why am I dumb? 3.29. Fuck it. 3.3. No. No. Sorry, we got a new size. 3.3. Fucking 4 point whatever the hell it said. Summon a Heartseeker nearby your general. So Heartseekers are 1 mana, or they're 1/2s with ranged, right? Nearby. Range. Minion. Have. +1. Attack. So I don't love this one. I'm pretty low on this one, just because it's like, oh, if you're playing range, you have to play Reva. I guess maybe not, because like this can also help being able to move further. If your deck is good at teleporting units or range, could be units that don't move, have +1 attack or backstab. Yeah, because once a unit attacks, I believe it's exhausted. I think you have to move before you attack. Yeah, I'm pretty certain of that. Yeah, Marpaletti, have you ever considered being a game designer? Friendly minions that don't move. Yeah. +1 attack. It's your hobby? Oh, okay. Who's emailing me? I did not give you permission to email me. Oh. It's a secret. Be very, very quiet. Enemies that don't move have +1 attack. I really like that. If you're able to get your ranged units in position, then it's great. And it actually like it's like a foil to your strength because you have a lot of like mobility. From the government. It's not from the government. That don't move up +1 attack. This one, it could also just be EOT, summon a 1/1 range nearby. And then for you, it was the deployment range. Minion deployment range is increased by 1 tile from your general. I should say from Reva. That would also be good against Provoke since they lock your units in place and you don't like that. Yep. Yeah, both of them have... Well, what is... What does Provoke say exactly? Nearby enemy minions can select only this minion's attack target and cannot move. Ignores. And they might be saying... You might be saying this. Wouldn't this just be better than Brome being able to just be unaffected by Provoke? Not necessarily. Because if they're staying where they are, they still have to hit the Provoke minion. Additionally, right, Brome gets to just like move and things and be chill. Whereas baseline this only involves Helios just like Brome's does. But even if all of your minions can like ignore Provoke and be teleports, I think just the fact of the matter that like their strength is movement and Lionar's strength is fucking not. Difficult for you and your army to catch up. Right? Your mobility is not really a strength. I think that this being better makes sense. Songhai. Your deployment range increased by 1 tile from Reva. That can be an issue though, right? Like, let's say, you know, this is whoever, this is Reva. This person moves here. Let's say they place a unit. Reva moves here. Obviously, they can place a unit here, but they can also place a unit here. They can place a unit here. I think one... would one more space be this? I'm not entirely sure. Maybe weird one for the previous faction can be your general has provoke. I mean, they can all attack you, but you can lock the enemy general in place. Maybe too much. I actually like that. And I think I would like it most on Brome. But I don't think provoke would be correct. Because I think having one aspect of it, Brome has pseudo provoke. So what that means is either nearby enemies, and I'll include the general in this one. Nearby enemies can only attack Brome, or nearby enemy minions cannot move. I think having both aspects would be too good. And if it's only active if you didn't replace a card, then you can turn it off. But if you want it on, you can't change a card. Yeah, I do think this is one of the ones that would be better with the card change requirement. Employment range increase. Okay, yeah, I think that's fine for Reva for right now. Should I? Hey, look, it's the same size. Awesome. Put a spell sword into your hand. I don't remember what the f that is. What's the... Put a spell sword into your action bar. Like, what's the spell sword? What's the fucking spell sword? Alright, peace out, Marpaletti. Have a good one. What the fuck does it do? Oh, a spell sword is one of the following spells, which is randomly chosen. Give a friendly minion or general backstab 2 this turn. Your general may move an additional space this turn. Draw a card at end of turn. Teleport an enemy minion 1 space. Okay. Spell sword into your action bar that cannot be replaced. End of turn. Declare a... You know what? I'm capitalizing declare. Declare a spell sword and add it to your action bar. It can't be replaced. Okay. You might be just saying, like, this is just the same thing, right? One, you can modify the spell swords. Your link from TCG Players and affiliate link, yeah. It should be. It definitely should be. So declare, I have capitalized here. Essentially, it's just like your opponent gets to know beforehand, and I think that's because you get to choose. So declare is like choose and your opponent, like, and reveal to your opponent, essentially. Can't be replaced. Means choose and reveal. This gives you more control over what you get, but in return, right, to balance that out, the fact that you get to choose actively instead of getting a random one, because nobody likes random in their card games, your opponent now knows, so they can also plan, right? For the spell decks, you can have X amount of Runeterra spell mana you didn't use. Only if you didn't replace a card. That is also interesting. And store X amount of mana. Only if didn't replace can only be used for spells. So for these ones, it definitely feels like... So both of these can be ranged generals. I think it's pretty easy. Both of these can be ranged generals. Neither of them can really be spell generals. Actually. So he's all about movement, right? So let's say we have a completely different one. EOT, reduce the cost of a spell in hand if no friendly minions move. Maybe declare. So here it's random, right? Of a random spell. Right, so here it's random. You can maybe change it to declare so that you get a choice, but your opponent gets to know a spell in your hand. Maybe you can buff it by being like, for every 2 units, maybe buff to be for every 2 you get 1 either spell or mana reduction. So what that means essentially is, instead of it just being end of turn, reduce the cost of a random spell in hand, like maybe that's not good enough, right? Maybe it's too good, who knows? But you can change it to be potentially, for every 2 minions that you have that don't move, you get to randomly either reduce the mana on an additional card. So like the first 2, you have 1 card that gets reduced, 1 spell that gets reduced. Could also be... Could also work with artifacts. Reduce the cost of a random spell in hand if no friendly minions move. Yeah, so it could be like, if you have 4 units, either 2 different spells, each get -1, or, and I don't think it should be both, or 1 spell gets double the, 2 reduction. This would mean that, this would be a spell deck that you want to play minions with to get those decreases, right? Whereas this one, you don't necessarily care about the minions. You can just store an X amount of mana. The reason I put X here is because I don't know. In Runeterra, obviously, it is 3. That said, in Runeterra, you can get up to 10 mana. In Duelist, you can only get 9 as max. Yeah. Put a spell sword in your action bar. Let's see. So units aren't sticky. Units are very frail. You have low defensive options. This one, okay, this one's a bit weird, and I actually think I'd put it on Reva. Nearby friendly minions deal 1 damage to you and gain 1 health. So my thinking here, right, is one of their weaknesses is that their minions are very frail. Reva, theoretically, could be used and use her life to do that. Obviously, this could change health loss subject to change, right? So it's possible that only losing 1 health is not nearly enough. Maybe it's losing 2 health. Let's see. Health loss subject to change. Could modify location. So instead of it always being nearby, maybe it's just specifically the diagonals of your general, or the cardinals of your general, right? Location. Cardinals versus diagonals, or forward versus backward. So like even maybe it's instead of it being all, you know, either all 4 cardinal directions or all 4 diagonals, maybe it's just units you place directly in front do it. Maybe it's just units you place directly behind. Maybe it's directly above, directly below, but I think front and behind just makes more sense. Consume X amount of mana. So there's one that I don't like, right? And the one that I don't like here is Shidai has... Crap, there's like a spell power type thing. I think there's a spell power type thing. There are plenty of things that deal damage when you're casting your spells. Am I dumb and wrong? Curses. Curses. Don't know. Regardless, Shidai has spells have +1 potency. I hate because narrow, but like design and stuff. And then of course Shidai has backstab X. 1 probably makes the most sense, but yeah, I think that's fine. Yeah, so having backstab, I think, makes a ton of sense. I gotta find a backstab minion. Backstab, Gorehorn. Gorehorn. Backstab. When attacking from the square directly behind the target, you deal extra damage and will not receive counterattacks. Okay. So... yeah, okay. So, Shidai having backstab is, you know, just, hey, look, I have backstab. I can just be kind of aggressive with my face and cast spells. But it also could just be like, hey, I'm going to play an artifact that I'm not going to take damage, but I need to be behind the unit that I'm killing to not take it. And you're still taking normal damage. Alright, on to Vitruvian, my favorite. Strength and weakness. Your minions are very powerful, if not dispelled. You're good at destroying artifacts due to Rash's curse. I mean, sure. Blast forces your opponents to spread out, allowing other spells like this. You have excellent late game spells and minions, such as blah blah blah. Your minions gain value over time. They are better as time goes on. They start out weak, early game, not great. They get better over time. Dervish tokens die at the end of the turn, unless buffed by Doomcaster to maintain on the battlefield. Not very effective at repelling aggressors once they have already reached you. Dispel removes a lot of power from your creatures. It sure does. Conditional expensive removal. Your ability to neutralize enemy creatures only works in certain situations. Positional requirements of many of your spells means your opponents can outplay you with well thought out movements. Yup. Xerix, Cyanus, and Siphron. Xerix. Sure, that's fine. Okay. Summon a 2/2 Iron Dervish on a random space. If I recall correctly, the Iron Dervish is just the Dervish that doesn't die. Like, at the end of turn. Yeah. The fuck? Oh, I definitely need New Vegas music to not play. Because there's no shot that's not copyright. Okay. Holy crap, I'm gonna have to break this up into 2 streams. My voice is already dying. Yeah, I mean, the basic one is just EOT. Summon. Iron. Dervish. Here. Bye. Again, can make predictable. Might need to change stats. Tiles around you are unaffected by enemies. So, the first one is obvious, right? It's just essentially let him keep what he has. He gets to play with dervishes, blah, 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 right? The second one is they have an issue with their stuff getting dispelled. So in order for your stuff not to get dispelled, you have to keep them close. The issue is that if you keep them close to you, that also means your opponents are probably going to get close to you, which means they can just kill, for example, your obelisks. This does kind of hurt Abyssian more than some others because it means that nearby tiles can't be creeped. But, you know. It could also just be minions tiles. This way, you can still be effective. Like your tile, you can still have creep placed on you, and you know tiles around you that aren't occupied by your own minions. That actually might be just more balanced, generally speaking. Let's see. One of the things I don't love about this one is just the fact that, like, it definitely wants you to play the specific obelisks and whatnot. So these make Dervish. Other person, I don't care. What's the Dervish? Wind Dervish. They all summon Wind Dervishes, right? There's a hidden tag. Yes, okay. It's specific. Okay. Beginning of each turn, some 2/2 Wind Dervish. Okay. Okay. So the other thing I was thinking was end of turn, 1 less wind dervish. No, not duplicate, dum-dum. Whatever. Disappears. Permin removes its ephemeral. I don't like this one just because it's like, hey, you're playing obelisks. Play this guy. So, like, I definitely understand this one being, you know, a bit rough, but at the same time, Kit. I like Xeris. Also love Sinus Sage. Copy image. 1, 2, 3. 3. And there's 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I'm gonna have to probably break this shit up. My lungs are killing me. Okay. Your general deals double damage to minions this turn. Your Sage deals +1 damage to minions. I mean, like, it's not crazy. It's not crazy. She deals 1 extra damage to minions. She's still taking damage. Maybe it could be reciprocal. Maybe recip. Hey, I can spell. General deals double damage to minions this turn. Yeah, I mean, double damage is way different from minions. Sage as frontal assault. It's kind of the opposite of backstab. So, like, if she's directly in front of an enemy, then she doesn't take revenge damage or whatever it's called. Yeah. And then, of course, I have to have one for it. Your equipped artifacts have 1 more durability. I mean, is probably too good. I wonder. This one's far out there. Artifacts equipped to Xeris. Now, if Xeris is equipped with an artifact. He gains the benefits from friendly obelisks. It's spelled with a Y in this. Or wait. Whatever, I don't care. Yeah, okay. Nearby enemy minions have -1 attack. You could do that. You could obviously do Cypron. Damage from minions. Needs something more, like just not on his turn. So we see something similar with a Brome, right? Where Brome takes 1 less damage during his turn. That includes attacking the enemy general, right? With Cyphron, since he specifies minions in his first place, and I'm still deriving from this, I think only taking 1 less damage from minions works. I think he should still be hit normally by generals. Unless we need something more, like just not on his turn. Yeah, I think maybe if it's not on his turn, it just balances a little bit better. Give an enemy minion -2 attack until your next turn. And then I guess there's also just like enemy minion deployed or spawned nearby. Gain -1 attack. So then your opponent has to like spawn units further away from you to start with. Oops. Has blast 1. It's 1 more tile. There's 1 more tile. Maybe takes retaliation from both units hit. Maybe takes double damage from first unit retaliation. Okay. Alright, so I gotta eat. This was a random impromptu stream. I appreciate all of you hanging out, even though he's not here anymore. Marpolletti had some great ideas. What I'm gonna do while I'm eating is I'm gonna go back through, and I'm gonna try to make sure that each general has Each general has one ability that works with aggro, mid-range or combo, and control. And then each general each general has an ability that can work. Each general has an ability. How do I word this? Each general has an ability that can be used in a deck for which another general has a more specific ability. That can work for a deck for which another general has a more specific. Alright. I appreciate everyone hanging out. This is like the first time I've tried to like actually design things in legitimately years. And I had fun. I'm going to probably not design the other three, Abyssian, Magmar, and Venar. But I might, and they'll be surprised. But my voice is dying. It's killing me. So I gotta bounce. Peace out, everybody!